Hi everyone! So for this video we were lucky enough to be joined by stars of the Netball Show podcast, Andy, Lamb and Zara Buck. Together we talked about the issues that COVID-19 has caused for netball in the UK, including how it's affected the Superleague, how it's affected the wider netball community and what we can do in this pandemic. I really hope you enjoy the video.
So I'm Zara. I am a presenter, producer, and I'm one of the co-presenters on the Netball Show with Andy Lamb.
Producer and also present on the Netball Show as well.
Amazing, thanks guys. So just to start off, obviously England Netball and Netball Superleague both issued statements a couple of weeks ago talking about how all netball activity is going to be suspended for the near future. So what are you guys' kind of initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, we were just, at the time, we were just waiting for it to be announced, really. I mean, I play netball myself, so I was sort of talking to my team, in our WhatsApp group, sort of saying, are we going to be playing? It's probably looking like we're not going to be playing. And obviously from a Super League perspective, it was just weeks into the league. So, yeah, there was a lot of questions, but obviously when it got announced, it makes absolute sense. I mean, their priority, as England Netball has said, and the Super League has said, that it's safety first always. But at the end of the day, it is just sport, and we all love sport, and it's a massive part of our lives. But lives are more important at this time. So,
I think at the time as well, though, it was a bit cloudy to some effect because some games were going ahead. Storm v Thunder was still going ahead on the Saturday, and yet on the Friday, Sirens against Dragons have already been called off. So there was still a little bit of confusion, and Storm had said, oh, well, we're just going off government guidelines. But Claire Nelson and Sirens was a bit unsure as to the way things were going to develop. And she'd already made that choice that, no, we're not travelling, we're staying safe. So a little bit of confusion at the start, but obviously I think it was that Monday where everybody found out that the league is going to be postponed. And that just made it clearer in a lot of people's minds.
I think that sums up the whole situation, though, across the board in everyone's lives, the uncertainty of it. Everyone's waiting for the next step and the next piece of advice. So, yeah, it was quite an unclear time, but it's unprecedented time. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Like, what's the impact on Super League players at the moment? Like, how are they coping with it?
Well, the immediate impact is absolutely no play. No teams obviously can train together in the flesh. There's no games to watch for fans. So I guess that's quite hard for clubs and teams. Obviously they've had a good pre-season together, and now they've and then they got into the league and then they've had to stop. But that doesn't mean to say that they haven't stopped, because I know I've seen a lot of content where they've been doing virtual training together, like S&C, and that's really, really positive to see, and really, really good that they're still keeping up that training and just pushing forward in that time, and they're just all waiting to find out what's going to happen next. So yeah, it has obviously had a massive impact in terms of that they're playing, and obviously financially as well. There's a lot of players that are probably in limbo, and I feel sorry for the players who are international. So they've come over here to the UK, and they've from abroad, and they maybe are living on their own and aren't with their families. And I know none of us can actually physically see our families, but still, it must be quite hard. I feel quite sorry for the likes of Peter Piscovia, who's made some tweets saying that it is really, really isolating and quite lonely.
I think some of the other impact as well. I mean, yeah, you can see how players have taken to online presence and tried to get supporters and things like that involved. Spoken to Andrew at Wasps, and they can do a lot of their S&C stuff remotely as well, just given the fact that their players are maybe not all around Coventry and that kind of thing. So stuff like that isn't new to them as such, but Storm have got weekly quizzes and things like that. And it's just the netball family is massive at the best of times. You're going to be spending time with them almost as much, if not more, than your normal family. So it's just making sure that you still remain connected.
Yeah, I've seen that not just in like the Super League players, but generally in the netball community. Players are really like, I know of my university team, like all of us are still like having Zoom calls, quizzes, trying to like keep motivating each other. So what do you guys think the impact is on kind of all players, like the netball community in general?
It's almost like adapting your training. They're going to be using tins of soup as weights and little things like that that maybe don't initially spring to mind, but when you've got limited time out and meetings online with everybody else, it's just making sure that everybody's part of it. Is it almost a break where getting everybody into the kit and just getting them out of spending time all day in the pajamas, for want of a better phrase, and just trying to bring a bit of normality into the normal lives in this time?
I mean, like the Netball World Cup and the Commonwealth Games have inspired literally thousands of people to take to the court, and England Netball have put loads of initiatives out for like the Bee Netball for kids, and you've got walking netball for people over 50, and you've got all these programs. There's so much netball activity around the country, so all those teams who go for that once a week social experience, meet up with their mates, it's hard, and they're going to miss it. I miss it. Almost connecting online and with other netballers more so than ever. I feel like fans are more connected to Super League players more than ever. There's all these initiatives like I think the Wasps initiative, #Make That Call, where players are calling up their fans just to check in on them. Like that's really cool. So there are a lot of positives to come out of it. And like Andy is saying, like just to put your netball kit on and get all your team outside and get a ball. I ordered a ball, but it's not been played up yet. Just get out there and like if you've got a ball. Like Tamsin Greenway's been amazing with her upskilling drills and skills on her off the court and on her
I've seen that.
They're really good. So she's done ones for defenders, mid-quarters. Andy will know all about that as well, being a star off the court. But yeah, she's got lots of tips, and that just goes to say that you can still be active. And Sirens have been putting out home workouts, and so have Team Bath. They did a live workout last week, and that's just great. It's just keeping active. And I think netballers have been so cool with it. They've been so creative. They've been doing some workouts, but they've also been doing some entertaining things like that shootout challenge that Surrey Storm did. So yeah, it's just been really entertaining. It's keeping us all like motivated, and it's lighthearted, and it's what we all need.
Yes, so obviously with everything happening, it's obviously affecting like everyone financially. What do you think like the impact is on jobs for like coaches and like umpires during this time?
There's a massive range of people in netball who are going to be affected, but I think there's so many answers that we need, and it's obviously, like we were saying, it's so uncertain at the time. So hopefully things will become a bit clearer over time, and it's just staying connected, like we were saying before, is really just the main thing, and talking about it. I mean, there's certain things that maybe hadn't been discussed because the netball season is so busy, and now there's a time where people are asking questions. I think of the topic of like the world calendar that I know that Tamsin Greenway and Tracy Neville have been talking about. It's a little bit off topic, but that's just one example of a time where people can now actually be like, oh, okay, maybe this is a time when we can work out international calendars, and now more than ever, this is maybe the time where we can actually sit down and figure this out. So there's lots going on. It's a crazy time.
And I think as we record this as well, we only know that it's thunder and storm, but
exactly.
Would you expect everybody else to maybe follow suit in the next couple of days, weeks?
I think it's the right thing to do, and surely if one or two teams are doing it, then the rest should kind of follow in their footsteps, I would assume. So we talked kind of specifically about netball, but more broadly, kind of what's the impact on sport in general? Just obviously netball is, we know more specifically, but so many massive sporting events have just been completely cancelled or postponed for a year or stuff like that.
I think one of the biggest things about postponing all the massive events, I mean, we could easily talk about football all the time, but I think when it hit me personally the most with everything that was going on was Wimbledon. Just one of those things where you can almost guarantee it's going to be there year in, year out. It's a massive showcase anyway, and that person down there has maybe a bit more to do with it than I do. But the fact that it's affecting literally everything, it's going to take some time to somehow get back to the same kind of levels of participation. The fact that everybody can go out and just experience being part of a live event and a live sporting event as well, which, let's face it, not many other things come close.
Like, looking more positively at it, it will hopefully bring like a massive influx of people, just because they've been so kind of trapped within their own homes wanting to do sport, I would hope. But yeah,
you might see a new generation, or you might get a new group of fans taking to different live events, because it's what they've not been able to do for so many months. So they might go, oh, hey, let's go and see a netball game, or something they might not have done 6 months ago. So yeah, it could definitely be a good thing. But yeah, we're all craving our live sport. But
and we already know that the final was almost, well, was it 70% sold out already?
Yeah, I mean, the Superleague this year is, probably the best yet, and the record number of that first day, that season opener, Andy, as well, wasn't it? It was just amazing. So yeah, it's a shame, obviously, this happening, but it's just keep talking about netball. Let's get this going, and just remain positive about it. And I think we'll be in for a good season when it gets up and running again. But yeah, no, like you say, Wimbledon, the first time since World War II, which is mad.
It's said it's unprecedented times. You can't compare anything to it. So I guess sport, when you think about it more generally, it doesn't seem as important, but the amount of people that play it, it's just like missing it so much.
So yeah, lots of athletes are going to be hugely affected by it, and all these athletes that have been training for years and years, working towards Tokyo, and now they're not necessarily working towards that now. So obviously, because it's been postponed till next year. And same for the Paralympics and the Euros.
So do you guys have any like tips for kind of isolation activities that players can do to keep fit, keep playing?
There are tons of tips and drills and home workouts for everyone to check out on social media. Just check out your favourite Superleague player, to be honest, or international player, and no doubt they're doing something fun online. I mentioned earlier Townsend Greenway's drills. They've been really, really good. She's just been saying that you just get a ball, get a cone, or if you haven't got a cone, which many people probably don't have cones in their house, so just get a can of beans or anything to use as a cone. Mm-hmm. And just practice drills if you've got a garden, or you can do it inside as well if you've got a mat. Just upskill is what she's been calling it. So just use this time really, while you haven't got actual physical court time. Just practice those areas that you need to work on, that you maybe don't get that time that you usually get. So yeah, there's tons of stuff. Sirens have been doing home workouts. Team Bath have been doing home workouts. So yeah, just keep net fit. Put your netball dress on. If you've got someone that you're living with, then get them to help you out with some drills. But yeah, like I said, there's loads of stuff online at the moment, like on social media.
Hashtag keep net fit.
Yeah,
presuming that's already a thing, but.
Yeah, I think
the Aussies have probably already claimed that.
I was going to say, if it doesn't, I'm claiming it.
But it's even a case of just like, all right, Laura Malcolm's got her Myers netball as well, but
yeah,
a lot of the time it's just you'll be following your favourite player anyway, and they're bound to be doing something. Or I know Sophie Hankin on her Instagram is tormenting the heck out of her parents. So it's just little things like that, and like keeping everybody going and laughing as we get our way through this all as one big massive netball family.
Yeah, and that kind of moves me on to what I was going to say next. Like, what can we do? Obviously, as a netball community is so strong together. So what can we do as a netball community to kind of help out anyone in this situation?
I mean, a way to get through this as the netball family, you'd probably be aware of the Netball Players Association and their fund that they've set up. That's going to get through to a lot of players in this time, and just knowing some of the work they do, being there for their members. And it's just, again, supporting everybody, having somebody that they can call on to advise them in this time, maybe away from the club, and just knowing that there are people out there that will happily share this situation with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good place for players really to just go and get some advice on so many different areas, whether it's, mental health, what they do after their career. Like Andy says, now more than ever, they're gonna be the place that players, should be looking to and getting that support, because the sport isn't fully professional. So yeah, it's the backbone really of the sport. So, but I think the whole netball community really is, it's quite plain and simple in my eyes. It's just stay at home and work out and do what you can and stay connected as much as you can. Keep talking about netball. Use your phone, do some content if you want to do that, and just keep spreading the messages of positivity and as much as you can. Obviously, it's a really testing and troubling time, but I am really thankful for things like Zoom and the internet and social media to kind of give me those like positive vibes really, and getting some tips and keeping me motivated.
So what kind of, just to kind of end this, do you guys want to, do you have any examples of other ways people can enjoy netball in this time? So obviously you guys have got your podcast. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
2017, I think it was, because literally there was nobody else at the time doing it. So it was important to me because it was a growing sport and the league was growing on a more and more stronger basis. I think it was something like the last minute goal against Storm that Helen Housby scored that set up my love for the game. And from then, I think, to be fair, we've just seemed to have grew and grew. I was particularly proud of the fact that while we were the only one that focuses on the UK game, we have spoken to people like Laura Geitz over the years and Gretel and Shani as and when it seemed fit. And did I go a little bit crazy and a bit giddy at the time, Zara? I think I might have mentioned it more than once. But
you like Shani? I don't know.
It's things like that. And the nice thing is, we were there every single day and uploading a podcast for the Netball World Cup last year in Liverpool. And on a personal level, that's one of the biggest achievements I think I've done, being part of this. And we were also part of the Sports Journalism Award.
Yeah, and now more than ever, I think podcasts such as yours, the Netball Show, is going to be so important for netball players. So I want to thank you guys for, I guess, being there for us as netball players. It's going to be so important.
I'd also like to mention as well, Skies Off the Court with Caroline and Tamsin. They've been there obviously as well a lot through this time as well. And it's things like that. It's Sky's support of the game. It's Nike support. And obviously we're sponsored by Mizuno as well. And it's all these big companies that are getting involved with the sport, realising how important it is to not only the players, but the fans. And we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for talking to us. It's been really interesting and really good to talk to you guys about all of this.
Pleasure.
Yeah.